Comienza Artistas All Over the World con Verónica Alegre. Encontranos en IGTV y en YouTube.
So hello, we are in Artistas all over the world, and today we have an international invitee. His name is Stephen Kip Mills. He's actor, director, screenwriter, and producer. How are you?
I'm good. I'm exhausted with all that list, but thank God it's all behind me right now, and I can sit here and talk to you.
Yes, I can imagine that you start with being an actor or not.
Yes, that's how I started. So I had great dreams, you know, of being a movie star. I started when I was 20. And here in America, there is a group of regional theaters, professional theaters in different states, and they're repertory companies. And they're about the craft of acting. I mean, they really have an ensemble of actors that can do anything. I mean, they'll play Shakespeare, they'll play some Italian commedia dell'arte, they'll do a comedy from the 40s. I mean, they're very versatile actors. I've always been a fan of actors who are versatile. Which is a lot different really than the star system where they kind of do the same thing. I mean, they play their personalities with rare exceptions like Dustin Hoffman, who is able to be a chameleon and to change. But most of the time when you see a star, that's why you go, to see that quality. But in a repertory company, you get to see the variety. And I always like that.
And Stephen, why did you choose to act?
Okay, I don't know. I think it's genetic. I think it's inside. I think we all have an actor in us. I mean, how many times have people said, "Oh yeah, I used to do plays in high school, or I did a play in college," or you know, everybody has that. It's not just about getting in front of people and being in a spotlight. It's about telling a story. I mean, it's almost anthropological. I mean, it's like something in us wants to tell the world something about us. And I think without really being able to articulate that early on, that's what it is. I mean, it's the love of story. And in which case you can act in a story, you can direct, you can write. But I think I first saw acting and I thought, wow, the power that an actor can have with an audience is really super. I mean, it's something that to be able to condense the interest of a group of people into the story that you're telling is powerful.
And how did you start to work as an actor? Because I can imagine at the beginning it was hard, or not?
Yes, there are many ways, and luck is probably the common denominator of all of them. I went to the Yale Drama School, and I studied with some very good teachers. And then began to audition, you know, and I think the people who watch the auditions, the casting directors, if they see you in again and again, they figure that you're serious, you know, and if you're any good in the audition, then maybe they'll give you a chance, or maybe you get an agent. I got lucky because a guy who was in a Broadway show was leaving. He won the Tony and he was going to go have his own TV show. And the director had taught a class at Yale. So he remembered me. I auditioned and was able to fill in the role. So from there, you get an agent, Then the trouble begins.
Yes, the trouble begins, exactly.
Right.
And you as an actor, how do you manage to compose a character? Do you have a technique, or do you mix techniques? How do you manage that?
It's I had a great teacher, Stella Adler, who said,
yeah.
you need technique when nothing else is working. So what she meant was it's pretty intuitive as you go into a character. I mean, it's detective work. You have to ask questions. Where's this character from? Why is he in this situation? What does he want from this situation? You have to break the writing down into action. You know, what would this person do? Why is this person doing what he's doing right now? So after the detective work and whatever intuitive wind blows through you, you see if you can make that work. But a lot of it is working with the partner. Like if you're in a scene with someone, it's not just you who's deciding how to play your character. I mean, you have to say, well, what are we doing? And how can the audience understand better this scene because of how we are playing it?
I was thinking because I'm also an actress, and I was thinking, what happened when you said it's a groupal work? What happened when you have an actor, another companion, another fellow, that you don't have this connection? How do you do to manage that situation? That's
tough, you know, because they always say acting is conflict. You know, so perhaps there's good conflict in there that you can use. You know, they always say use it. In other words, if something's wrong, use it. If something's good, use it. I mean, put it into the scene, put it into the character. Maybe then you have to add something about your character.
How do you do to do, I mean, if you have an advice for a casting as an actor, you as an actor to go into casting, do you have, I don't know, some methods or something that you do before the casting or during the casting?
No, casting is very intuitive. I mean, you have to be careful not to imagine that the actor is better than they are or worse than they are. You have to really see what they're doing and if that can be of use to the story. I mean, sometimes you want an actor to be good and you cast somebody that you want and it turns out they're not that good. So you have to be really very practical about what you're seeing in front of you. And I think it's good to put an actor through some paces. I mean, to say, okay, let's take that same scene, but I want you to play it in this way, or take a different look at it to see if the actor is can change, you know, if they're flexible or if they take direction. So it's a bit of a test. But I think the point of casting is to really make sure that the actor is given a good chance, because sometimes actors are nervous. The first time they go through it, maybe it's not their best foot forward. So you have to give them the time to be as good as they possibly can.
How nice. Yes, I think the same. And I read one anecdote of you. I guess it was in the film A Cigar at the Beach.
Yes.
When you cast one actress by a photograph.
Oh, that was so bad.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I feel so bad about that because, well, there's two guilty parties, the actress and me. The actress has no business sending me a picture 10 years younger than she was. You know, so I look at it and I think, okay, that's possible. Then when I see her, I go, oh my God, this is so wrong. This will never work. But I wasn't as efficient or as cruel as I am now. And I tried to make it work, and the cast all knew. They were like looking at me like, what are you doing? But I had to, I guess, save her face. I didn't want to embarrass her. And then when she left, I called the producer. I said, we have to shoot this over. We've got to do this again. And fortunately, I was able to get a really good actress at the last minute who could do it. It was just a day's work, and she was perfect. But the cinematographer said, hey, you should have told me. I wouldn't have put any film in the camera, because we were shooting on film, and it was a
expensive, yeah.
Expensive mistake.
Wow.
So the lesson is, if something's wrong, deal with it right away. Don't put it off. Don't deny it. Don't try to get around it. Deal with it. I mean, you're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting money, and you're not serving the story. There's no reason not to have said, look, this isn't going to work. And I apologize. Let's have a great meal, and I'll drive you to the airport. You know?
Because, you know, I was thinking that sometimes in the acting business, you know, there is some actors, I don't know, an actress also, that they send you the photograph of 10 years ago, and they don't realize how important it is to be an actual photograph. Because of these things, you know. Right.
It's not how I want you to think I look. It's how do I look, because that may affect the casting. I mean, the casting may say, hey, look, you know, you're from the picture, you look too young. Whereas in real life, you might be perfect.
Yeah,
you
exactly. In this profession, which one was your hardest moment? I mean, how do you manage or survive when you don't have work as an actor or as a director?
You mean just in general, in terms of the arc of a career?
Yes.
You mean just, well, it's always being out of work. I mean, that's always the worst. I mean, if you're an actor, I think you have to start to generate work for yourself. I remember there was a strike that the actors had back in the early 80s. And that's when I started directing. I put together 2 one-act plays and put them on in a small theater. But, you know, you can't stop. You can't, just as you cannot expect the outside to give you the part, you cannot expect the outside to, you know, really to give you anything. I mean, if you want to stay alive as an artist, actor, whatever, director, do something. I mean, actor does mean do, you know.
Yes.
And it's funny because it's a very passive profession. If you're just sitting around waiting for somebody to say, yes, come and be in my film or my play, it's a very passive, and you have to go against it. You have to stretch yourself. You have to jump into something that you have to take a risk. You know, you may be a terrible director, and I've done some terrible things as a director, but don't let it stop you. I mean, look, I've had worse directors than I am, and they were hired, so why can't I direct? I think you just have to remove. People say, well, I can't write. I'm not a writer. You don't write. It's not writing. It's not literature. It's human behavior, back and forth. You know, it's a situation. It's character. It's story. It's not writing. Just mark it with dialogue. Or, you know, one good thing about being an actor and writing is that you know what an actor can do and what you don't have to write. You say, I don't have to write anything here because the actor can just do that.
Yes.
You know, but the main thing, I mean, to answer your question, is the hard part is to accept passivity. If you accept passivity, then you're kind of cursing yourself You're putting a curse on yourself, doomed to be useless, doomed to be inactive. Can't do it. You have to break the curse and do something. Play a clarinet on the corner of a street. I mean, just do something.
Yeah, exactly. And so, do you direct theater also?
I have, yeah. I mean, most of my sort of soul is connected to the theater. I like it. I like the rehearsal process. I like the fact that actors can play different roles. If you'll notice in Love Is Not Love, a couple of actors play more than one role. I like to see the actors be able to present that. Yes.
And how do you change, for example, when you direct a theater to direct a film? Which one is the difference?
Well, film is so different. I mean, there's so many more choices because, I mean, in theater, you just have a big room, you know, and people either go here, they go there. I mean, it requires the audience to fill in the gaps, whereas the camera can do it. I mean, it can tell you exactly where you are. It can, I mean, is the camera moving? Is it over here? What lens is on it? How long is the scene? How close are you? I mean, do you move within the scene around the actor? I mean, there's so many choices. It's great. It's, you know, daunting because you think, well, did I make the right choice? Because there were so many, maybe I left 5 great ones out. But I think the biggest difference is film directing. I think it's, I wouldn't say it's harder. I'm saying it's more complex.
It's more complex.
You know, there are more choices. And again, Stella Adler used to say, your choice is your talent. In other words, what choices you make shows me how good you are or not, or how bad you are. Also, she would say, honey, there are 1,000 ways to play this scene, and yours is the worst. You know, so it's a risk, but it's good to have choices.
Yes.
And I think with film, you have more.
How do you do to learn about filmmaking?
Do it. I mean, yeah. I mean, hopefully, if you make more than one, you won't make the same mistakes. You'll make new mistakes. Then if you make a third one, you'll make different mistakes. I mean, the point is never to make the same mistake twice, you know. But I think I didn't, when I made, first film was Hotel Lobby, I didn't know anything. I mean, I had been in front of a camera as an actor, but I didn't know how to frame a shot. I didn't know how the camera can move. I didn't know how to think about editing ahead of time. So you think, okay, if we're doing this, well, how do we get out of this scene into the next scene? You know, so I'm learning.
How nice. So I read in one interview that you said that you like psychological action films. Like, I don't know, from the 50s, from the 60s. Why did you like that?
Okay, if you take a film like Antonioni, La Notte, do you know that? I mean, do you know that film, La Notte? Jean Moreau, Marcel Mastroianni, Monica Vitti. I mean, the great actors. It's like, it's not a plot-driven story. You're not interested in the plot. I mean, the people, in fact, you couldn't tell anybody what the plot was. You know, but it's interaction. It's people changing the sort of mental state of other people. It's about interaction, and I think that's what I mean by psychological. It's where the person is more important than the action.
Yeah, the character, you know, a big personality and a character that you see it is like magnetic, no?
Yes. Yeah, and they were. I mean, those guys, They were the luckiest directors on earth. I mean, people like Antonioni, Fellini, Kurosawa. I mean, because they found the best actor on earth to play their movies. I mean, Ingmar Bergman, where would he be without Max von Sydow? You know, where would he be without Lee Woolman or Harriet Anderson? I mean, it's they found the right people. They found gods and goddesses. It's tough to find that, but they're out there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Yeah, they must be around here, you know, in some place.
Sure.
You know, what is your advice for a young actor or for director that want to start with this acting or?
Yeah, I think, look, there's no one way to get anything done. There's 1,000 ways to get it done. You just have to find yours. So don't give up. You know, stick to your, obviously you have some sort of love for this thing, acting or directing, so don't lose that. And you have to be in it for the long run. You know, I'm thinking a way I may have gotten out of acting too soon because I didn't get the results I wanted. But also I wanted to experiment with directing and writing. I mean, that's a curse. It's better just to have one thing and do it instead of trying to do everything. But don't lose your course. I mean, I think, you know, it's so funny. Just the word rejection is a funny one because people who are not in the acting business have no idea. They can't take rejection. They don't know it. But actors know it. They have to adjust to it. They have to incorporate it. They have to find a way that rejection is part of their, it's part of the recipe of being an actor. So don't be deterred by that. Don't be, I mean, of course you can be angry or frustrated, but I mean, that's what's going to happen. That's the way it is. So accept that and stick with what you like, you know, and don't give up.
Don't give up. Exactly. So I want to talk about your movie, your last movie, Love is Not Love. I want to know first, how do you manage to write it, director, and acting? How do you manage in these 3 roles?
Well, you don't do them all at once. I mean, there's a lot of time in between. I mean, by the time the script is done or ready to rehearse, and you're working with actors to rehearse a scene, you're just thinking about the scene. You're not worried about the writing. You don't even think of yourself as a writer. At that point, you're the director. So I think it's the time in between that allows you to make those transitions. And we rehearsed a lot with the cameraman, cinematographer, so that when it came time to act, I didn't have to direct at the same time. It had already been directed. We already knew what the camera was going to do. So then I could just...
Do you have a double of you, another actor to see the lights and everything?
No, that's a possibility. And I was thinking of doing that, but I didn't, because, I mean, of the rehearsal process, I mean, we would do scenes, the cinematographer would show us what they looked like, and we could sort of determine from that point. It's better than having a double because I don't have to explain to somebody else what the scene is.
Yes.
You know, so I think there's pros and cons to that. I mean, I think probably a double could be of use. But I also think it could get in the way of actually playing a scene with somebody. If you got somebody else who's a totally different person playing, and you're going in your head, no, that's not the way to play the scene. I mean, you're kind of wasting your time, I think. Ideally, it sounds great. I don't think it would work.
And then I can imagine that you rehearse maybe more because you come from the theater, that maybe that the directors of film directors, they don't rehearse that much.
No, I've heard that, especially from the actors who are in the film. I mean, they appreciate the rehearsal because they get to get rid of all the mistakes. I say, look, let's make this as bad as we can. Let's just tear it up. Let's make it horrible. Get all the mistakes out of the way so that you know and have the confidence of what the scene is and how to play it. So I think rehearsal is good therapy and also good for the story. And plus, it's a lot cheaper to rehearse than it is to keep taking new takes of a scene, because you've got the whole crew there, you're taking time, maybe you don't get the shot in time. If you've rehearsed, you're very efficient. I'm 73, so I was 70 when I was making the film, and I looked at other actors who were 70. I didn't like any of them. I didn't think they could. I thought, look, unless it's going to be somebody who's going to sell tickets, I might as well just play it, because I'm not going to sell tickets either, but at least I'll be sure that the character knows what he's doing.
Yes. So besides you write it, so you know what the story needs to tell.
Well, yes, one would hope. I think so. I mean, I had, the scenes, it's funny. What's great about acting is that you do discover stuff. You think, wow, I didn't intend for the scene to turn out this way, but yet that's how it's turning out. So you have to kind of accept the changes that the actors bring. And that's the point really of a good actor, is to take the script and run away with it, to steal the script from the writer and make it their own. Actors are good thieves if they're good actors. They know what to steal and how to make it theirs.
There is a nice definition of an actor. Good thief.
Yes, good.
So you shoot in black and white. Why? Because I love this aesthetic, but it's not that frequent nowadays.
It's coming back.
Oh?
I think more films are in black and white. I think there's a big budget movie that's coming out that's all black and white. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's how we started watching movies. At least I did. I mean, all those movies from Europe in the 50s, these would be obviously before your time, but all had subtitles, and they were great. I mean, I think black and white is the color of narration. I think the imagination likes black and white. It shows the face in a way that you see the emotions more. Otherwise, you're just looking at a face that, okay, I'm noticing your hair color, I'm noticing, your eyes. If you're in black and white, you don't even care about that. You say, what is this character thinking? What is it? What's he going to do next? So I think it puts more focus on the action of the film rather than the look of the film.
Yes. And can you tell us the synopsis of the film?
That's tough. It's like an opera. In fact, one of the versions I called the opera just as a satire, because it's like, if you read an operatic synopsis, it is endless, and it's full of just wild little details. But I think the short synopsis is: a man cannot see the future in the woman in front of him, and he looks over his shoulder and sees no one. So it's really about how fantasy prevents us from seeing what's in front of us. We'd rather look over our shoulder because maybe something else is there that we hadn't seen before, rather than looking ahead at who is in relationship with us and dealing with that. So it's the male conflict between the erotic and the domestic. We want both. We don't seem to get both from the same person. So then we live in kind of a constant split. So I think it's about that split and how to either make it work, make a choice, or wander in solitude for the rest of your life. Is that a synopsis?
And you use a lot of theatrical metaphor, or not, with some characters.
Yeah, Tristan and Isolde. Yeah. It's it's like the beginning of Western romantic thought. It's a big romance, and I think there are two Isoldes. There are two women that he's torn between. The one who drives him crazy because she's so exciting and exotic, and the other one who just keeps him alive, who is a bit less exciting, but more nurturing. So that myth sort of defines the conflict of my character in the story. And it's played out by the clowns, the little street clowns.
Yes.
So Arlecchino wants to go with, the exotic sun hat, the fantasy. Meanwhile, the only way the other woman can get him back is by feeding him, dangling a chicken in front of him. And that distracts him because his stomach is more important to him than his heart. Which may be true of all men, I'm not sure.
What do you think of the future of the web films? Because nowadays you can show your movies. I don't know how it is in America. The movie theaters are open? No. Okay.
Well, I think in some states are open. But I think most states are closed. And I think movie theaters are not widely open because that many people are not allowed to be together.
Yes.
Right now. After the vaccine, hopefully that changes, and we can get back into the theater and not have to worry about all that. I don't know. There's nothing, look, maybe it's just old-fashioned. I prefer a huge screen. I think it's great to watch a movie on a big screen because there's something about the relationship between the imagination and the scope of the screen that is really compelling, and you get drawn into a movie. Whereas if you're watching it on a computer or at home, not the same.
Yes.
You'll understand the movie, or you may even appreciate it, but you won't be swept into it.
But Stephen, how do you manage with this movie nowadays that the theaters are closed? I mean, you are thinking in putting on some places, on some websites, or what are you thinking or projecting?
Well, you only have one option, which is virtual film festivals. So that's better than nothing. So I submit and play it at these virtual festivals. But I mean, the end game is to find a theater, to find a distributor, to find an art house, really. I mean, it's not a mainstream movie, but it is an art house film. And I can remember as a college student going to an art house and seeing films, and it was great. I mean, it was just a nice, refreshing thing to do. But I think there is an appetite for independent films. People want the difference. But for now, we're virtual. That's it, you know. And until the vaccine comes and we get a little more confident about going out, what's it like where you are? I mean, are they all closed, the theaters?
Yes, they are closed, all the movie theaters, and nowadays they are start to open the theaters. How is the pandemic? Which state do you live?
California.
California, okay.
Yeah.
So how is the pandemic in California?
Well, you know, it depends on how it's reported. I mean, it's they say the cases are rising, you know, by large amounts. That this is a second surge. The hospitals are full, but they never tell you what the death rate is. And that to me is the most important thing. Is everyone who gets COVID dying? I don't think so. Plus, there are more treatments now than there were in March. So it's not a death sentence. And I'm afraid they're going to lock us down again. I mean, we're pretty locked down. We're sort of half locked down. I mean, you can eat at a restaurant, but it has to be outside. So we're lucky it's not cold here in the wintertime. I mean, you know, so people are adjusting, but no one really knows what to do.
Yes, it's
you know,
there.
we don't really know who the medical last word is. We don't know how serious it is, or if it is as serious as they want us to think it is. I think in many ways politics has come into it a little bit, and I think some of these governors like their power. I mean, they like to keep us inside, and I don't know. I don't know how long that will last.
Yes,
It's an interesting social dilemma. You know, are people risking their lives, or are they exercising their liberty?
And how is the culture in America for you? I mean, you have you as an independent filmmaker, you have places to show your movies or not?
I don't think so. I think the criteria is really tight. I mean, you have to win the Best Audience Award at Sundance, or you have to know someone who runs a big corporation, who can recommend. It seems. So you make an independent film, but then what do you do with it? You don't sell it to Universal. You don't sell it to Sony. You know, I mean, you have to find, and that's what I'm looking for. There must be a market for independent films that are good films, but I still think that independent film does not make money, and that's a problem. You know, rather than creating an appetite, you know, with these films, which I think you could do. I think the people who own the theaters say, you're not going to make me any money, therefore I'm not going to show you. You know, it's hard for them to take a risk on something that has no stars in it. There's no guarantees. They all want the guarantee. So I told my cast, I said, look, you better get famous or we're never going to get out of here. You know? So hopefully a couple of them will get famous and then we'll get a distributor.
How nice. And changing the subject, you know, there is this big movement in USA that is calls Black Lives Matter. In California, is also a very big movement or not?
I think so, yes. No, I think it's, you know, there's different parts to it. I mean, obviously, I actually am of the opinion that politics and art don't have anything to do with each other. I think they're separate worlds. And I think the artistic world is the healing world, the provocative world, the world of personal decision. In other words, you watch a movie and however it affects you, that's the success of the film. I don't think movies are going to change the political world, and I don't think the political world is going to, it doesn't seem to work in film. I mean, I think the only political film that really works is Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator. Have you ever seen that? I mean, that is like a perfect blend of entertainment, skill, and politics. But I don't think anything has come up to it since then. And it can't just be, you know, ideological. I don't think that works. I don't think the imagination likes ideology. I think it likes humanity. And I think what I want from a film is a human exchange, not a political idea.
Yes, yes. I want to know, why do you think there is a less woman directors in filmmaking or in show business? Why do you think this is happening?
Well, okay, I mean, if you talk about the marketplace, I mean, about the, you know, the commercial world, there are fewer women, although, I mean, there was a woman who directed Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot. I mean, so and also other films. I think it could just be it's a man's world and women are making inroads and headway, and they're getting there slower. I think in the independent world, there are a lot of women filmmakers. I mean, maybe the same amount, if not more than men. I mean, so I think the independent film world is much more available to the artistic participation of both genders.
So, Stephen, what do you like most from your country, from America?
That's a great question. You know, you live in a place for a long time and you don't really get a perspective of it unless I should live in Venezuela or Argentina and then look back and see what America is like. But I think, I don't know, I think we take a lot of stuff for granted. But I like, I don't know. It's, I've never lived anywhere else. So maybe I'm just, you know, provincial that way and my eyes are closed to the country I'm in. I don't know how other people see America. I know some like America, some don't for different reasons, but I like it. But maybe if the travel ban were lifted, I'd go live somewhere else. I don't know. I like the idea of America as it's founded. I like the freedom, although we see our freedoms being a little bit played with now by the tech companies. I mean, who, they don't like an article, they won't print it. I mean, so there's a little bit of censorship creeping in that we don't usually think of as American. But maybe we're just growing up, I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. So, can you, for closing the interview, can you repeat us the name of your movie, and can you tell us if we can see it online, or which one is your next project, if you are going to show it in Argentina?
What was it? In a what? In a cantina?
In Argentina, my
In
country.
Argentina. Oh,
Yeah.
well, you know, there was a festival in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, Buenos Aires, sí.
Buenos Aires. I think it was just an awards festival, though. Some festivals are just judges just look at it and then they decide if they like it or not, and if you're the best actress or you know, stuff like that. I mean,
Yes.
it's not really shown. I think all film festivals are having trouble
Yes.
finding out how to get to a public in a meaningful way. My film is called Love is Not Love, and it seems to cancel itself out. And I think there's a warning in the title, because if you follow fantasy, you will never find love. So love is looking at who's in front of you and finding out the life that could be. Not love is always waiting for someone better, someone else, a more suitable situation that doesn't make you work as hard and that answers all your questions and that makes your life fantastic. So basically it's a story of that dilemma of how do you accept what your imagination can make better, and how the imagination really is the bad guy, because it's taking you away from reality.
So, Stephen, can you give us your social media? I mean, do you have an Instagram or something like that people can contact to you or see some photos or trailer of the movie?
Yes, it's Instagram is the best for us. We have the most on it. So it's, I guess what, www.instagram.com/@loveisnotlove, all lowercase, all together, @loveisnotlove 2020.
2020. Okay, perfect.
Does that make sense? Is that clear enough?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Then we are going to translate all this in Spanish. So no problem.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you so much for this interview. I hope your movie travels all around the world. I
hope so. And I thank you for your time and letting me talk about it and asking such good questions and being easy to talk with. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the people who see us. You can see us in IGTV and YouTube, and you can subscribe to our channel, to our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Veronica.